Every gardener eventually faces it, that moment when your once promising pepper plants seem stuck. They're green, growing, and look perfectly healthy. But day after day, there are no flowers, no buds, just more leaves and the same frustrating silence from your garden beds. This midsummer stall is more common than you think, and thankfully there's a fast, natural way to fix it. Not with chemicals or complicated treatments, but with a single, carefully timed drench that delivers exactly what your peppers are begging for. Let's start with the why. Why do pepper plants suddenly stop flowering, even when they look strong and lush? The answer lies in stress. Peppers are heat lovers, but when summer temperatures climb beyond a certain point, usually over 85 degrees Fahrenheit or 29 degrees Celsius, the plant's internal systems shift into survival mode. Flowering takes energy, and during extreme heat or inconsistent watering, peppers respond by halting blooms. It's their way of riding out the storm. Unfortunately, gardeners are often left confused and discouraged, thinking they've done something wrong or that the plant simply isn't going to produce this year. But don't give up, because peppers are incredibly responsive to changes in their environment, especially when you correct two key problems: lack of immediately available nutrients and inconsistent moisture. This is where a nutrient-rich liquid drench becomes the game changer. Compost tea or diluted liquid fish fertilizer, applied at the right time, provides a fast-track solution that stimulates your plants back into bloom within just a few days. Now here's where timing is everything. These drenches work best when applied early in the morning. This is when the plant's roots are most active and the soil temperature is still relatively cool, allowing nutrients to be absorbed efficiently. A morning application also avoids burning the foliage and prevents rapid evaporation, which is common during midday or afternoon watering. The early hours give the plant time to take in the drench slowly, converting the nutrients into growth and, most importantly, flowers. Let's talk compost tea. If you've made a batch before, you already know it's teeming with life. When made properly from mature, finished compost, it contains beneficial microbes and soluble nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus that plants can absorb quickly. For peppers, this means a near-immediate response. The nitrogen helps reinvigorate tired leaves, while the phosphorus stimulates root energy and triggers blooming. Simply brew the tea over 12 to 24 hours, making sure it smells earthy, not rotten. Then drench the soil around each plant, letting it soak deep to reach the main roots. If compost tea isn't available, liquid fish fertilizer is an equally effective alternative. It's packed with bioavailable nutrients and mimics the natural fertilizer that indigenous gardeners have used for centuries. Because it's derived from whole fish or fish emulsions, it also includes trace elements like calcium and magnesium, which peppers need during peak production. So, you'll want to dilute the fish fertilizer to about half strength and apply it as a root drench, ideally early in the morning. Just, make sure not to pour it directly on the leaves. Pepper foliage is pretty sensitive, especially when it's hot out. Within, say, 48 to 72 hours, you'll likely notice a change. The plant's posture might shift a bit. You may spot small buds forming at the leaf nodes, and the leaves will start to look more alert, more purposeful. That's really the first sign your pepper has exited survival mode and is gearing up to flower again. As those blooms start to show up, you can go ahead and taper back the feeding to about once every 10 days or so, just enough to support ongoing flowering without overwhelming the plant. Of course, no drench can fix a deeper watering problem. Inconsistent watering is one of the main reasons peppers stall in the first place. A quick morning sprinkle isn't enough. What peppers need is deep, even moisture that reaches their full root zone, especially during heat waves. If your soil is compacted or drains poorly, adding a top layer of mulch can make a world of difference. Straw, shredded leaves, or even grass clippings can insulate the soil, hold in moisture, and prevent the roots from overheating. And while we're focusing on liquid nutrients, don't forget the power of temporary shade. Peppers really appreciate filtered sunlight when it's extremely hot. Drape a floating row cover or use a shade cloth during those peak afternoon hours to relieve stress and, allow your drench to work more effectively. The shade won't stop growth. In fact, it can actually prevent plants from shutting down altogether. What you're doing with this morning drench is more than just feeding your plants. You're actually sending them a signal that conditions have improved, that it's safe to start blooming again. Plants are far more intuitive than we give them credit for. And when you meet their needs with the right tools, they respond quickly and generously. So the next time your peppers stall, don't panic. Just reach for compost tea or a diluted fish drench. Apply it with care in the morning. Give them water that really counts. Pair it with mulch and a bit of light shading, and watch as flowers return, often faster than you thought possible. If this guide helped revive your pepper patch or gave you some insight you hadn't considered before, be sure to subscribe to Botanical Bliss. We're here to turn your balcony, backyard, or raised bed into a thriving oasis, one practical trick at a time. And hey, if you know another gardener staring at leaf-heavy, flowerless peppers, share this with them. They'll thank you when the blooms return.